Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today it's time to count down the top 10 cards from Paldean Fates. Paldean Fates has just come out, and we all know that Paldean Fates is a set where we're largely focused on those shiny Pokemon. They are the ones that everyone's getting super duper excited about. But you know what? There are a bunch of new cards in the set, and I'm not going to pretend this is a super playable set like something like Paradox Rift was, for instance, or like Temporal Forces seems like it's going to be. But there are some cards here that could make a bit of a difference, and it's really more of a top 5, but I've turned it into a top 10, because you never know, these cards could be good. Could they? Yeah. But before we get going, I need to tell you guys I'm going to be opening a bunch of Paldean Fates and selling a bunch of singles over on Whatnot. I'm aiming for Friday. But look, here's the deal. Use my invite code, which is whatnot.com/invite/thewassie, and then you'll get notified when I go live. I'm also going to tweet it out on here, and I'm going to try and figure out how to simulcast YouTube as well. But if you either use the code or follow me on Whatnot, then you will get a notification when I go live, and it'll be easy. So it's whatnot.com/invite/thewassie. I'm aiming for next Friday at around about 7:30 UK time. But again, check out Twitter and make sure you follow me on there. And look, if you use the code, you get a £10 credit. And I get a kickback, and everybody wins. So I would hardly suggest you do that. Good way to support the channel if you enjoy what I do. Let's start off at number 10 with Donphan. And look, if you've been following this channel for any length of time, you'll know I'm a Don fan. You can see that Donphan is in the logo of my channel, so I'm clearly a little bit biased here, okay? No arguments there. But I think this Donphan could be kind of fun. It actually came out in Raging Surf, so we should have had it by now. This one's a bit late. But 2 energy, 30 damage, discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. That is not bad for 2 energy. And sure, it's on a stage 1, that's a bit of a pain, but being able to mill while doing a bit of damage is pretty cool. You've also got 3 energy, 160 that can't attack during your next turn, but it's the milling one I like most here. If we ever get a really good playable Donphan, using this as a tech could be really fun. In at number 9, we've got Gengar, and it's a similar kind of thing here. This one has a little bit of a chance, and it's mostly here, let's be honest, it's mostly here for the ability. And it's a nice little ability that just says once during your turn, before you attack, you may switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench. It's a nice ability. Honestly, it's a kind of ability where, were it not on a stage 2, I would really like this. As it is, I quite like it. As a side note, remember, this is literally just Solgaleo GX's ability, and that was a cool ability at the time, but then Solgaleo was also like a legitimate attacker. This really isn't. 100 damage plus sleep for 2 energy is not good enough, but I do like this for the ability. In at number 8, we've got Paldean Students. Now, Paldean Students is one of those supporter cards which could end up seeing a bunch of play. We're going to have to wait and see. It's kind of a complicated one, but basically what it does is it searches your deck for a Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box. But then for each Paldean Student card, not including this one, in your discard pile, you can search your deck for another Pokemon. So, when you play your 4th one of these, you are going to be searching out any 4 Pokemon that don't have a rule box. I don't know. I could see this in some Pokemon-heavy decks. I could see this seeing a bit of play and a bit of love. Not arguing that it's the best card ever or it's going to see a whole bunch of play. I'm arguing that it's a very interesting card. It's one I've got my eye on. In at number 7, we've got Great Tusk, one of the 2 new EXs in the set, and it is also worth pointing out, this is going to be one of the tins, so yay! The shiny version is going to be very easy to get. Now, what this does is it's got a really kind of awkward ability. It's the kind of ability which is going to make some people look at this card and go, oh, yeah, no, I'm definitely not playing that. That's terrible. Because at the end of your turn, after you attack, if it's active, you discard the top 5 cards of your deck. That's awkward. No argument there. But let's not forget that we do still, for a little bit of time, have Path to the Peak. And Path to the Peak will turn off your ability which will then allow you to, go nuts with this. It's a bit awkward, but it is doable. Until we get to rotation, of course. Then when we hit rotation, Path to the Peak rotates out. And at that stage, I'm going to be honest with you, it does get a little bit more annoying. When we hit the rotation and we lose this, yeah, that's going to suck. But then we've also got an attack here, whereby you do 260 damage, and it's not affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So whatever they might be doing to try and block you, you can go right through. Yes, it's really awkward. Yes, the best way we've got to make it less awkward is rotating in a couple of months' time. Understand all of this, don't really care, there is potential. And while we're in this part of the video, let's keep it going. In at number 6, we've got Iron Treads. Incidentally, another Pokemon which is coming as a tin promo. Brand new EX in the set, but it is also coming as a tin promo. And this one is generally considered to be the best of the two. And what we've got here is free energy, 150 damage. And after doing damage, you may discard a Future Booster Energy Capsule from this Pokemon. And if you do, then you take 150 damage less from attacks next turn, which is ridiculous. It becomes a 2-price Pokemon with an effective HP of 370. I don't know about you, but I kind of like the idea of having a 370 HP 2-price Pokemon. Given that 340 is the maximum amount of HP we've ever really seen naturally, 370, and you're still a 2-price Pokemon? Yeah, you know what? Count me in for that one. Count me in. Now, in at number 5, we've got Charmeleon. And I'm not going to sit here and argue that Charmeleon is the most exciting Pokemon we've ever seen. It's not. However, right now, Charizard decks are extremely good. And there is a strong argument, not a certainty, but there is a strong argument that this is going to be the best Charmeleon we've got. There is a genuine chance that this just ends up being the most played card out of the set, which would be a little bit sad, but honestly does make sense. You see, it's got an ability that prevents effective attacks, and it doesn't have to be active, it works in the active or on the bench. And this is a very, very good thing. Stops damage counters, stops all kinds of things. The downside, the counter argument here, is essentially that this has got 90 HP, which puts it in Greninja range, whereas there are 100 HP Charmeleon out there, which are out of Greninja range. That's essentially the counter argument here. I'm going to leave that one up to you guys, but the point very simply is, this is a very good Charmeleon, and though not guaranteed, there is a very good chance that this ends up being a very widely played card, despite being a Charmeleon. In at number 4, we've got Gholdengo. I like Gholdengo. We got lovely Mitsuharita artwork, and this is very, very cool. Firstly, it's got an attack for a single energy that lets you attach as much metal energy as you like from your hand. That's it. That's what it does. This is clearly awesome. So hopefully you get a bunch in your hand, and then you just attach it all in one go with Gholdengo. That's awesome. Then it's got a second attack that lets you flip a coin for each metal energy attached to this Pokemon, and you deal 80 damage for each heads that you flip. That's honestly really good. That's really very good. The energy acceleration, good. Although it's a stage 1, so it's not always going to be as consistent as you might like. It's basically like second turn you're using to accelerate energy. But if you accelerate enough, we've seen this in the past. There was a Dragonair that did this. And that Dragonair did see play, and it did see success. And that was a card that we actually saw doing well in tournaments just for doing this. Just for attaching as much energy as you like. So don't think it can't see play, it already has. Then we've got an attack that can do potentially huge damage. There is potential for this Gholdengo. And you might have noticed since we got to the top 5, we have had a pickup in quality here. Now in at number 3, we've got Atticus. And Atticus has a huge amount of potential here. You see, it's a shuffle draw 7. You shove your hand into your deck, and then you draw 7 cards. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Is there a downside? Of course there's a downside. The downside is that it only works if your opponent's active Pokemon is poisoned. And look, we do have ways to do this. Now, the one that's probably going to be the most successful is using the Ancient Booster Energy Capsule combined with Brutal Bonnet. That can work. But don't forget, we've seen this with Paldean Clodsire as well. All I'm saying is, this could actually end up being kind of good. And this makes me very, very happy. But seriously, Shuffle Draw 7. It only really works if you're playing some kind of poison deck, but if you are, like, this becomes the best draw supporter in the format. It's the best draw supporter in the game. But you can only use it when your active Pokemon's poisoned, but it's the best draw supporter in the game. You see where I'm going with this. In at number 2, we've got Moonlit Hill. Now, this is one of the ones we were really waiting to see whether it was actually going to be released, and it, obviously a couple of weeks ago, we got the word that it is in fact coming in Paldean Fates. Once during each player's turn, they may discard a basic psychic energy from their hand, and then heal 30 damage from each of their Pokemon. And look, if we're playing Gardevoir EX decks, for instance, well, we want energy in the discard to accelerate with Gardevoir EX. And Gardevoir EX, when it accelerates energy, damages those Pokemon, so we wouldn't mind a bit of healing. It's clearly a perfect combo here, and if Gardevoir is good, this card will be good. But I'm putting number 1 as TM Crisis Punch. I love Technical Machine Crisis Punch. I think it's brilliant. This is a one whereby it's a free energy attack, 280, and you can only use it if your opponent has exactly one prize card remaining. But this is going to get basically everything but Stage 2 EXs. Stage 2 EXs are generally going to be out of range of this, but almost everything else will go down. But the reason why this is so good is we have a couple of Pokemon that see a lot of play in the format right now, which can use this for free. Like, for instance, Cramorant. Cramorant says if you've got 4 cards in a Lost Zone, ignore all energy in this Pokemon's attack cost. And we've already seen rulings about this. We don't need a ruling. We know this. Yes, that will count for a TM. Yes, you can use it for free. The other one which is likely to see a bit of play is your Radiant Charizard. Because Radiant Charizard, again, the attacks cost 1 colorless energy less for each prize card your opponent has taken. Well, if they've got exactly 1 prize card remaining, they've taken 3 prize cards. They've actually taken 5. So this becomes a 0 energy attack and is awesome. No, this is not the same kind of set as Paradox Rift. I put that out at the beginning. It's never intended to be. It is a card where we are focusing largely on the shinies. But that doesn't mean that it's not an extremely cool set. And you know what? Sounds good to me, ladies and gentlemen. Sounds good to me. No, it's not the most playable set ever, but there are some cards in here that could make a difference. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me which of these cards you like. Tell me what you're going to be playing with. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.